Hi, my name is David.
Kelvin Nielsen. I'm Michael Chai.
My name is Matthew Dickman.
Been 6 minutes with a delegate.
Hi, my name is Matthew Dickman. I'm currently a delegate located in Southern California, and I am, at the moment, the senior delegate for the USA and Canada. I got into cubing when I was about 12 or 13 years old. I had just been bored one day, picked up my brother's Rubik's Cube, and then learned how to solve it. I took notes on how to solve it until I didn't need them anymore, and then I got a collection over the next couple of years, made YouTube videos, and then that sort of took off, and then started competing, and then since then, my whole entire life's been taken over. I honestly don't remember how I heard about my first competition, but it was World Championships in Las Vegas in 2013. You did not have to qualify at that time, so first-timers were welcome. I successfully talked my parents into driving me to Vegas from Los Angeles, and so they drove me there at the time of my life, and I left the competition wanting to go to more. WCA event, my favorite is 4-blind. It used to be clock, but blindfolded I've kind of enjoyed the most as of lately. 4x4 blindfolded is, you don't have to memorize just like a crazy amount of stuff. You just have to memorize around 2 cubes worth of memo, and it feels really rewarding when you get it. So I like that. As for non-WCA stuff, ghost cubes have always been my favorite puzzles, so I have a pretty extensive collection there. The 2 people I look up to most, I'd say, are Kit Clement and Michael Young. Kit Clement I worked closely with when I lived in the Northwest. I lived in Washington, he lived in Portland. He was a senior delegate before me, and so I've learned a lot through him. And then as for Michael Young, when I started competing, I'm sure he's right behind me, somewhere back there, but when I started competing in 2013, he was the only delegate in Southern California. And like Northern California at that point had maybe like 6 or 7, and somehow he was keeping up with Northern California just himself, and I was very impressed. And then after moving back down from Washington to Los Angeles, seeing him still just as active, it's nice to see, like a familiar face coming back down here. So after my first competition, I knew I wanted other people to experience the same thing that I experienced. So I, shortly after that, wanted to get into organizing. And then after I went to school in Washington, or started school in Washington, I wanted to do more competitions, and the delegates weren't always able to make all the competitions. So I thought, what if I became a delegate, delegated my own competitions and did a little organizing and did all of the above. And so in 2018, I finally became one. And since then, I've delegated over 100 competitions. And it's a very rewarding experience. I've delegated quite a few interesting ones. I recently got added on to the organization team for a lot of the bigger competitions. So US Nationals 2019 was my first one. And then Nats 2023, North American Champs this year, World Champs next year. But I also delegated the first competition in Alaska. It was in Anchorage. I did the first overnight competition, which was Welcome to 2019. That one was fun. It was 5x5, 4x4, 3-2, square one, like a countdown. And then we watched the ball drop, and then did all the blindfolded events with the sleeping masks on. So that one was fun. And then I also helped delegate and organize the largest 24-hour competition. It was Sleepless in Seattle. It was a pain to run, and we're doing another one in Los Angeles soon called La La Land. That one's going to be 28 hours. It's going to be brutal, but it'll be fun. But I like doing the interesting ones. Oh, one more. Intense Cubing, which is a competition on a campsite. You go, you camp for a night or 2, and then you have hikes kind of in the schedule, and then also eating. It's a lot of fun. Much smaller, maybe 20 people, but everyone really has a good time. I guess given me the opportunity to be social outside of what I was doing before, which I really didn't have that like big of a hobby before, so I'd stay home and play a lot more video games. I'd just go on my computer, watch TV, do all that stuff, but cubing kind of gets me out of the house, and with organizing them, I'm a lot more involved, and so I get to talk to a lot more people. And at these competitions, one of my favorite things to do is talking to parents, so you'll often see me out in the crowd talking to parents, especially first-timers, see if they have any questions, making these connections, and then seeing them, hopefully, at another competition after that. What it's like being the senior delegate, you get a lot of emails. You get added on to every single US and Canada competition every competition that gets sent to the competition announcement team, you get added on to that. You have to deal with any issues among delegates. Sometimes delegates will forward you an issue that might happen with a parent, or they'll come to you with issues before going to a team sometimes. Or if the ethics committee or the finance committee is looking into one of your delegates, then they might ask you some questions. You deal mostly with a lot of promotions from, or nominations of people to become trainee delegates, promotions from trainee to junior, promotions from junior to full delegate, and then any demotions as well. That and just a lot of reading emails has been the biggest thing. Keeping up with the region leads as well. There's, I think, 10 regions right now. And so each region has its own region lead, Michael Young being one of the region leads down here, the West, as I mentioned earlier. So just making sure that they're all up to date on everything and staying on top of what's going on in the US and Canada.
What does cubing mean to you?
Cubing, what does it mean to me? For me, it's kind of become my social life. So it's become one of the most important parts of my life, where every other weekend, or even sometimes every weekend in a month, I'll get to go to a competition, get to see all my friends who I've made throughout the last 11 years competing, and I'll get to do with them every week. Anytime I travel to a competition, I always have friends that I've met from other competitions years ago. Even if I haven't seen them in 5-6 years, it's still just like you pick it back up right where you left it. So that, and just the community as a whole, all the parents and all the competitors were very welcoming and supportive. That's one of my favorite things right now about the community, but it holds a very special place in my heart. So a couple things that I always hear when I tell people about cube competitions is if someone tells me they know how to solve a cube, I tell them to compete. Like, just go to a competition, try it out, and their first response is, I'm too slow. But then I always tell them, every single person at that competition has been at your speed at some point. Like, even Max Park at some point averaged over a minute, and now he averages 4 seconds. When I started, I averaged around 30. Matt's Volk started averaging around over a minute. Now he averages 5. So we've all been at a much slower pace at some point. And also, it's not really just a competition. It's a social gathering. So it's not every day you're in a room with 100 other cubers. You rarely see cubers out in the wild, but it's nice to be among people, like-minded individuals, I guess, with the same hobby. Always having something to talk about. I'm Matthew Dickman. Thanks for watching, and this has been 6 minutes for the delegate.
All right, solid. That's a wrap.
Nice. Okay.
Clean.
Thank you.
This was so good.
Thank you.
So good.